Hi, everybody. We're going to get started in just a little bit. We still have people joining us. So we're just going to wait for the participant numbers to even out a little bit and make sure that we're allowing everybody to enter, and then we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Out of curiosity, how many students do we have in here with us? You can send a chat to us just to let us know if you're a student. You can type student here. Okay, get some students. Awesome. Yay. Okay, we definitely have students with us. Love that. How about parents, guardians? Type that in the chat box. Let's see how many we have. Okay. All right. Parent and student, love that. Love it when you guys are together. Awesome. Okay, friends, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pass this off to my colleague, Jessica, to get us started tonight. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Jessica Yazdani, and I am one of 4 college and career counselors through the district. So tonight's presentation will be about junior success. So this is a lot of information in regards to what juniors can do to prepare for next school year, and more specifically to prepare for the college application process, if that's something that they're interested in pursuing. Okay, so just some housekeeping reminders. This presentation will be available to you after tonight. So if you see the paperclip icon, then that means that there's a link resource for you. So if you click on that, it'll take you to a separate link. Your camera and microphone is turned off, so we won't be able to hear you. You won't be able to ask questions out loud throughout the presentation, but you do have access to the Q&A box. So feel free to ask questions through there, and we will be working together as a team to respond to your questions. And this is one of many presentations that is available on our Futureology website. So if you just type Futureology into Google, you'll also be able to find calendars to schedule an appointment with us one-on-one. You'll be able to see a list of resources available to you, and then you'll be able to access our YouTube channel where we post all of these webinars for you. Okay, so like I mentioned, I am one of 4 college and career counselors through the district. With us tonight is Bee Nguyen. She's over at Aliso Niguel High School. Erica Espejo, she is at San Clemente and Capo Valley High School. Nicole Rengifo, she is the college and career counselor at Tesoro and Dana Hills High School. And then Erica Gardner is our college and career coordinator. So she's our director, and she kind of oversees all of us at our different sites. So we are all credentialed school counselors. And what makes our team unique is that we all have experience with college admissions. So we each have read applications for different universities and helped universities make decisions on applications. So we kind of have unique experience in that we have high school experience, but we also have worked on the college side of things. So we really have a true sense of what colleges are looking for when they're reviewing a student's college application. And our team is very data driven too. So we want to always provide families with the best possible services. We want to make sure that we are increasing student knowledge around college and career readiness, increasing our rate of students, applying for financial aid, things like that, that really help students set them up for success for life after high school. These are some different ways that we can support you and your student. So we provide one-on-one college counseling appointments. So students, like I mentioned earlier, can go onto the Futureology website and they can select their high school and they can schedule an appointment with us one-on-one. So for juniors, we'll work with you to kind of give you a timeline on what you should be doing throughout junior year to prepare for senior year when it comes to college admissions. We'll talk to you about essays, college testing, extracurriculars, resumes, all of that great stuff. And then we work with seniors one-on-one to actually kind of walk them through the college application process. And then we also offer support with college and career initiatives. So for example, the college fair that we hosted in October, we were a huge driving force behind that fair. We offer free events, presentations, workshops, and we also have a centralized website, which is again the Futureology website, where you can find a ton of different resources and online webinars, such as the one that we're providing with you tonight. And all of our support is 100% free. We do work for the district, and so we are certified counselors through Capistrano Unified School District. So this is kind of a breakdown of what you can expect from tonight's presentation. We'll be discussing the different stages in the college and career planning process. We'll talk to you about A through G requirements, which are basically a set of requirements put on by the UCs and the Cal States. We'll talk to you about how you can build your academic profile so that you can really stand out when it comes to college applications. We'll go over ways that you can conduct college and career exploration as well as major exploration. We'll touch base on testing, so SAT and ACT. We'll talk to you about how you can go about beginning your college search. And then of course, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. Okay, so this is kind of a roadmap towards college and career readiness. And so this is what juniors can kind of expect. So between August through October, that's when, we're coming back from school. You can kind of evaluate your grades. So look at your transcripts, see how you've done up until that point. You may be working with your academic counselor to make sure that you're in the appropriate classes. And then maybe you're considering taking either the SAT or ACT exam. And then between October and November, we encourage that you attend the college fair. So hopefully a lot of you were able to attend the college fair and ask some good questions. You can attend some events and workshops that are put on by the Futureology team or by your own specific college and career counselor at your high school site. And hopefully you're continuing to meet with your high school academic counselor to discuss post-high school plans, as well as your college and career counselor. And then through November and December, you'll want to consider testing options, including practice exams. So we actually work with a company called Revolution Prep, and they offer free ACT and SAT practice exams. So that's a really great place to start. It's online, and then after you take a practice exam, you'll be able to schedule an appointment with someone that works for Revolution Prep to talk to you about your results and where you can work on areas of weakness and kind of talk about your strengths so that you know what to do when it comes to the actual exam. And then you'll also explore extracurricular activities as well. And then between December and February, we encourage that students conduct career exploration. So maybe that's taking a career assessment to figure out what your interests are and what type of careers they align with. There's also assessments that will identify what your strengths are, what your favorite subjects in school are, what your hobbies are. And again, the goal is to find a career that aligns with all of that so that you find a career that you love and something that you're good at. And then again, we want you to look out for any Futurology events that we're hosting. We typically host events every single month as a team. And then at our own individual sites, we have different workshops that we offer throughout the school day. And then between February and March, we want you to continue with your career exploration. It doesn't happen overnight, right? And especially as a junior, some of you may know exactly what you want to do after high school, but some of you don't. And even for the ones that you feel like you know exactly what you want to do in terms of a career goal, you're young, right? So your mind might change. And sometimes even if a student is very focused on one career, it's still a good idea to take a career assessment just so that you have an idea of different types of careers that are out there. Sometimes we only hear about like doctor and teacher and nurse and firefighter, but there's so many different types of jobs that are available to us, and some that are in really high demand, some that pay really well. So it may just kind of expand your options, and it may give you just some additional ideas to think about. And then finally, between March and June, we want you to connect your career goal to a major that you could potentially study in college. And then we want you to be able to identify colleges that offer that major so that you can obtain that career goal of yours. Okay, so there's two different stages that we've kind of categorized when it comes to planning for college and career. And the first stage is the passive planning. So this includes things like maybe you're coming to events, you're listening to our webinars, and then you're kind of coming up with your own ideas in terms of what college you want to apply to, and maybe you have a general idea of a career that you want to pursue. We also have come up with another category, and that's the active planning process. So active planning is a little bit more specific, and you're spending a little bit more time and effort to really hone in on your goals. So that can include things like really researching the different careers that are out there that might be a good fit for you, right? So earlier I talked about how you may have an idea of what you want to do, but if you spend a little bit more time understanding different options out there, that's only going to set you up for success because again, it's just about being knowledgeable about what's available to you and what type of job outlook is available in that specific career field, and how much does that specific career field actually pay. And then it comes down to your academic profile too. So really spending the time to figure out what areas you want to grow in, whether that's adding more extracurriculars to your resume, maybe challenging yourself in AP classes and figuring out like, okay, maybe I'm doing really well in English. I really want to focus on math. So I'm going to utilize the tutoring resources at my school to bring up my math grade. That can include things like researching colleges and spending the time to really develop your college list. So it doesn't really matter exactly where you're at with the planning process. As long as you are planning a little bit and thinking about your options, it's okay. You don't have to be in the active planning process, but we do want you to start to think a little bit more about what it is that you want to do. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't know where to get started, you're definitely welcome to schedule an appointment with your college and career counselor, and we can help guide you along the way. Okay, so again, students, you determine what stages in the planning process you're, ready for, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. So what works for you isn't necessarily what's going to work for your friend, right? So again, we don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We don't want you to feel like now there's a million different things that you have to do. If at this point you feel like you're just now starting the college planning process, college and career planning process, I think a really great idea is, again, schedule an appointment with your college and career counselor, and we can kind of break things down for you into steps so that you're not thinking about everything that you have to do necessarily. It's more about taking it one day at a time. And we have found that the most successful students are the ones that are really driven and really just taking on that initiative especially when it comes to being an advocate for themselves. So for example, if there's something that you're wondering about when it comes to like a very specific program at a college, and you want to call the college to ask them questions, but you're feeling a little intimidated, try to put yourself out there and try to, again, take that initiative. Sometimes doing things that seem intimidating or scary is typically what helps us grow. And also by exposing ourselves to it, it makes it a little bit less scary each time. And then once you get to college, you're really setting yourself up for success, because a lot of it is going to require you to be an advocate for yourself and to take leadership and to take ownership of your future. So, if you want to get started now to set yourself up, then again, it's about taking initiative, schedule that appointment with your college and career counselor, take notes during the meeting. And again, it's really about putting your best foot forward. Okay. So wherever you are at in the planning process at this point in 11th grade, there's still plenty of time to move productively toward your post-high school goals. So again, we want to ensure that you're feeling comfortable and this is a safe place and that you're not feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so now we're going to move on to discussing A through G and admission basics. So what is A through G? It's basically a set of courses that Cal States and UC specifically will look for to determine if you're eligible, right? So it's basically determining eligibility requirements for Cal States and UCs. And it includes taking a minimum of 15, and they're called A through G courses, and you need to pass each one with a C or better, again, in order to be considered as eligible. Eligible does not mean that you are guaranteed admission, right? So it's a total of 15 courses that you have to take. And if you're wondering what 15 specifically, you can just Google A through G 15 required courses and it gives you the breakdown. But if you get a C in every single one, that doesn't guarantee you admission into, all 9 UCs. That just means you're eligible to apply. So you're always going to want to go above and beyond what's minimally required of you. So they require 15, but in addition to trying to get higher than a C in those classes, we also encourage that you try to aim taking more than 15. So for example, the required amount of math courses that they'll ask of you is 3 years. So 3 years required math, but we encourage that you take 4. It's required that you take 2 years of a lab science, but we highly encourage that you consider taking 3 to 4. They require 2 years of a language other than English, but we highly encourage that you take 3 to 4. Again, you don't want to just do the bare minimum. You want to show them that you're willing to go above and beyond and challenge yourself and take rigorous courses and continue learning each year that you're in high school. Okay, so understanding your academic profile. So there's a couple of different things that are going to be considered when it comes to college admissions. And one category is your GPA. So you have 3 different GPAs that you'll notice on your transcript. One is a weighted GPA and the other one is an unweighted GPA. So a weighted GPA is basically going to give you an additional grade bump for taking honors and AP classes. And Cal States and UCs, when they're reviewing your application, they will base your GPA on grades 10 and 11, and they're looking at your weighted GPA. Okay. Sometimes parents will say like, well, what was the point of my student taking honors classes their freshman year if it wasn't going to be considered as a part of the Cal State and UC GPA? They definitely still value freshman year. They are going to look at the courses that you took freshman year. They're going to look to see if you've challenged yourself freshman year. They're just not including it as part of their admissions GPA. However, a lot of private schools will look at everything. So they will calculate your grades in 9, 10, and 11 when making an admissions decision. And some private schools and out-of-state schools will even consider your first semester senior grades as part of their as part of your GPA for admissions. So everything matters. And then test scores. So typically in the past, schools, in addition to reviewing your GPA, will ask that you take an SAT or an ACT, and that typically in the past has been part of the admissions review process. However, with COVID happening in 2020, a lot of universities no longer required test scores as part of the admissions review process. But next year it could change. They could go back. Some universities could go back to expecting that students take either the SAT or the ACT. So a good rule of thumb for current year juniors is to plan to take one of these exams at some point in your junior year. And then class rank. So this is basically categorizing where you fall when it comes to your peers at your specific high school. So within our district, we used decile ranking, and you're not going to be individually ranked. And then course selection. So colleges will look to see what type of courses your high school has to offer and how many of those courses did you take advantage of. So that is especially important when it comes to honors, AP, community college courses, and our CCA classes, college career advantage classes that we offer at each of the high school sites. Okay, and then finally, academic rigor. So this describes how a student develops academically over time and whether or not they've challenged themselves. So maybe you've started freshman year, maybe you didn't take any honors classes, and then sophomore year, you decided to take one or two, maybe junior year, you take 2 or 3, and then senior year, maybe you're taking 3 or 4. That's just an example. That's by no means what you need to do in order to get in. But it is always helpful for colleges to see that you have challenged yourself over time. All right, now I will be passing it over to my colleague to take it over for the next section.
Thanks, Jessica. So can everybody, hold on. Can everybody hear me okay? I think you can. A while ago, I told one of my former colleagues that I used this sandwich metaphor, and then we came up with this whole idea to run with the sandwich metaphor in this orientation. So let's talk about the college admissions sandwich, okay? And how we can kind of view those academic profile factors that Jessica just discussed with us, how we can view them in terms of importance or value in the admissions process, okay? So it starts with the bread, right? If we're talking about a good sandwich, most sandwiches start with a good bread. You can't really have a sandwich without bread unless you're, low carbing it or no carbing it, but we're going to talk about a traditional sandwich here. And as we always tell our students, grades are the bread of your admission sandwich, okay? They are the thing that holds all other factors together. Without good grades, it makes the sandwich a little less delicious, right? Appealing. So we want to remind you that because you still have an entire school year and a summer to work on your academics. And when we say great grades, we mean great for you, right? Whatever the best you can do is really good enough, okay? And you know what your best is. And we just encourage you to strive for that in this kind of final year that really counts towards college admissions for you. So grades are important. They are the foundation of college admissions, and they are the bread of your college admissions sandwich, all right? Second to that is the course rigor, okay? The course rigor can be considered the meat of your sandwich. It adds body to the sandwich. It is the story of who you are as a learner, which is a really huge component in college admissions because they want to know how you learn and what kind of learner are you? Are you curious? Are you somebody who pushes themselves by taking rigorous coursework in the areas that they are strong, right? And we're not telling you to take AP honors in every single subject or take 4 years of Spanish if you absolutely don't want to take Spanish and know that you want to pursue a career in STEM where Spanish might not be as necessary. So keep that in mind. But when we say course rigor, we mean, are you challenging yourself? Are you telling an academic story with the courses that you're taking, right? If you are very committed to being a computer science major, what have you done in high school, in school, to prove that you're interested in computer science? Are you taking AP Comp Sci, right? Are you taking basic coding courses over the summer? What are you doing to kind of indicate that love of learning and that curiosity about different subjects? Now, after grades and course rigor, we have your extracurriculars. This is who you are outside of your academics, and this is important. They are the condiments of your sandwich. They add flavor, right, to the admissions sandwich, if you will. They add something special that defines you from other sandwiches. And I don't mean to compare all of you to sandwiches. That's not what we're trying to do. But we love a food metaphor or analogy on this team. But extracurriculars add flavor to your profile. They add interest. When an admissions reader reads about, what you've done outside of school to explore the things that you're really interested in, that gets them excited. They're like, wow, like, cool. Like, this student is really into basket weaving. Good for them. They've done a lot with that. I actually knew somebody who ran the basket weaving club at Aliso for a while, right? It's a real thing. So this adds flavor to your application and is vitally important as well, right? And then after that are your personal statements, or what you know as the college essays. These are the texture of your sandwich, the crunchy things, the lettuce, the tomato, not crunchy, the pickles, but they add texture, right? So as we're evaluating you from a college admissions perspective, we want to look for things that add dimension to you, right? We have the good bread, we have those good grades, we have this story of your desire to learn by the rigor of your courses and the different types of courses you're taking. We know what you're doing outside of school, and that is getting us interested, right? Those are the little flavor morsels that you're throwing in there. And then the essays add dimension, they add texture, they add even more about your character and what you value, what you love, and what drives you. And that's very important in the admissions process if the school is evaluating you holistically, right? And there is a difference. Some schools will evaluate you holistically, where essays and letters of rec and extracurriculars really play into the process, like the UCs look at extracurriculars and personal insight questions. And then there are more kind of straight up database admissions schools, like the Cal States, that will simply evaluate you on the bread and the meat alone, if you will, right? Just the grades and the course rigor and some other numbers. So that's just an aside for you. But in any case, essays can really give a lot of texture and dimension to your application. Very important if they're required by the college that you're applying to. And then some other little extras, right? The cheese, if you will, are letters of recommendation. They add a little bit of that kind of personal touch, another person's take on you, that can add some more depth to your admission sandwich. Not always required, just as they are not required by all universities, but another added layer of flavor that's not necessary all the time, but can be added depending on the college, okay? And then finally, just a little extra, test scores are the avocado. They can be essential depending on the person and depending on if you like avocado. So that would be the college's decision. But test scores can help, right? They can certainly be extra added value. And as Jessica mentioned earlier, and as Nicole will talk about later on, test optional is a thing right now. And some schools will give you the option of submitting a test score. Others might require it, and some might not want to see it at all. So you can think of them as that little extra added something. And if you have a great test score compared to the average students getting into a university, go ahead and submit your test score. And again, as Jessica mentioned earlier, if you are a junior, which you're in here, so you're a junior, hopefully, we do encourage you to take an SAT or an ACT officially, just in case. It's good practice. If it's within your means and your bandwidth to do it, we do encourage that you take a test to have that score in your back pocket, okay? So school profiles. How many of you in here, let me know in the chat, are familiar with what a school profile is? Have you looked at your high school's profile? Give me a yes or a no in the chat. Do you know what a school profile is? Have you looked at your school's profile? Okay, overwhelmingly, we have a couple yeses, but overwhelmingly no's is what we're getting on our end, okay? So thank you so much for letting us know that. The school profile can really help add context to you as a student for an admissions reader. This is especially true for private school. Private school admissions representatives will often turn to your school's profile to understand the context of your school and to better understand the students that attend your school. And they include information about average grade point averages at your high school, average test scores, the colleges that your previous senior class was admitted to, right? Different types of courses offered. This gives colleges an understanding of what you have to work with within your high school setting. I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like. Just give me just a second. I'm going to pull it up so that you can actually see what a high school profile looks like. Okay, so let me know if you should be able to see my screen right now. And let me see. Is somebody confirming? No. Can somebody just confirm that you can see the high school profile?
We can see it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So this is an example of Elisa Nagell's high school profile, right? And this is what private school admissions reps will often look at to understand where you're coming from. So they'll learn a little bit about the community that you live in, right, from the profile. They'll see what the graduation requirements are. They'll see every honors and AP level course offered at your school, which is important because what did we talk about earlier? We talked about course rigor, right? And are you taking advantage of the AP honors courses available at your school? Well, they're going to see how many are offered at your school, and they want to know how many of those you took advantage of, okay? But this just gives a really nice breakdown of what kind of students are taking what kinds of classes at your school, what the GPA distribution is, so that they can get a sense of where you fall in comparison to your peers. All right. And this is not meant to panic you or anything like that. It's just one of those things that they will want to look at as they are evaluating you. And the UCs also kind of have their own version of that as well. So just keep that in mind, okay? But let's get back to the presentation and let's kind of move forward. We do link to every single high school's profile. So when you get a copy of tonight's presentation, you can look at your high school's profile to get a sense of, what you're working with at your high school site. And I do want to emphasize again, please don't feel like you have to do everything and take every single course. We want you to push yourself in the areas that you love and in the areas that you feel confident in, right? If you're not a good math student, don't try to take AP Calc BC, right? You know what your limits are. We just want you to push yourself in the areas where you feel really confident and good and where you want to stretch yourself a little bit. That's all. And that's what the colleges want to know about you as well. So how to build an academic profile. Again, we want to think about that sandwich and what's important, right? Like we've said a million times at this point, grades are really important, and you have this whole school year to work on your grades, right? We're coming towards the end of first semester. Get that tutoring, get that help, and work your grades out so that they are the best possible reflection of your ability as a student. And think about what you're lacking. Like, do I need to work on some more extracurriculars? Should I start pursuing some things that I'm interested in outside of school? Should I push myself to take an honors class next year as a senior, right? Those things will all kind of factor into the admissions process. And then, of course, like I said, grades and A through G coursework are the foundation. So we want to make sure that you are, taking that to heart and working on your academics for the remainder of this school year. And you also have this summer as well. It's a great opportunity to take a community college course to kind of beef up your academic profile and to explore something that you might really be interested in. I think that's the most important part, is that you do these things, you take these classes to explore something that you might be really interested in or that you're just simply very good at, okay? And again, maximize, go beyond the minimum requirements where you're comfortable. Where you're comfortable is the key word here, okay? You don't have to go 4 years max of everything, but push yourself where you know you can excel. That is what we would ask of you. So how else can you build yourself your profile up by extracurriculars. Let's talk about a few ways that you can begin exploring the things that you really like from an extracurricular perspective. So outside of academics, what can you do to pursue that thing that you really love? And let's say it's coding, for example, right? Well, one way that you can actually do that is by participating in something called an open online course. I don't know if any of you have heard of Coursera, for example, but Coursera is an open online learning platform, and it gives the public access, free access to university level coursework. It's all online, and you don't get a transcript for it, but it is a great way for you to begin exploring different subjects that you're interested in at the university level. And there are beginner level classes, introductory, beginner introductory level classes to advanced. And these are courses that are provided by leading universities throughout the entire world. University of Toronto, Duke, right? Northeastern, Stanford, some really amazing schools out there that are posting their lecture series for free. And you can actually list this on your UC application as coursework completed outside of your A through G coursework. So this is a great way for you to explore your interests outside of school, right? YouTube is kind of a silly thing to tell you to do, but I have had so many students turn to YouTube to learn a new skill, whether that is SolidWorks for engineering students, or how to use a specific editing program if you're interested in video editing or visual effects, right? But YouTube is a great resource for you to actually learn new skills that you can speak to as you're writing these personal statements for college come summer and fall of senior year, right? But it is a great resource, and it's free, and it's a place where you can, again, enhance your knowledge and learn something new that you could speak to in your college essays as well. Summer programs are another great way for you to explore. Cosmos is a really popular summer program that the UCs offer. And my colleague Nicole has been working really hard on a summer program spreadsheet that we will be publishing on our website very soon, that will give you a full rundown on different summer programs offered, when the deadlines are, and a link for you to register. And we'll be posting that on our website within the next few weeks that will go live. So please check back with our website in a few weeks, and that should be live for you to utilize so that you can start applying to some of these summer programs to demonstrate your interest in a particular area. And again, there are summer programs in every single subject and area you can think of, whether that's STEM or humanities, law, medicine, right? Psychology, neuroscience. There are summer programs at different colleges all over the country that you can look into. And then finally, podcasts is another way to kind of passively explore. And again, it's another way to learn, to widen your lens and to get different perspectives that will then help kind of inform your worldview, that will help give you the vocabulary to talk about something of interest as you're talking to an admissions rep for a college interview, or as you're writing these personal statements about what you've done to pursue your interests throughout school. But there are some really amazing podcasts out there. You can just search podcasts by theme or by genre to learn more about a particular thing. This is especially good for career exploration. There was a really good podcast that I listened to a while ago on a very special division of firefighting that involves some really just advanced and high level firefighting in the forest. I think it's called smoke jumping. Somebody can chime in if they know the exact term, but they're like the Navy SEALs of firefighters, and it was really cool, right? And I wouldn't have known that had I not listened to the podcast. And that's something that I share with my students who want to be firefighters. So talk to your guidance team about this if you have any questions, or talk to us, and we can kind of help get you started with that. Of course, another way to explore extracurricularly is through clubs at school. Club Rush was probably earlier in the fall, but there might be another one in the spring. And we have links here to every single clubs and activities page at every high school on this document. So when we send it to you, go ahead and click on it and see if there are any clubs of interest at your school and join now. There should be information for the person to reach out to if you're interested in joining. But this is a great way for you to get involved at school and to find a community of people who have similar interests as you as well. And now is still a perfect time for you to join some activities as well. Okay. And then finally, for extracurriculars, volunteering is a really great way to express your interest and love of a particular area, right? Whether that's the environment or supporting the, needy members of your community who are food insecure, right? Or what have you. I mean, there are so many different areas that you could volunteer in, but some things that you want to consider as you volunteer, please pick something that you love. Don't volunteer for the sake of volunteering. Don't do one-offs, right? Don't do a beach cleanup here and then pass that water at a marathon on another day and, join, some kind of other organization for an hour on the weekend. Those are a little bit, they mean less because they are not connected to something that a college admissions reader might see as a core value of yours. So think about something that is meaningful to you and find volunteer activities that relate to that. Okay, that's what we would recommend. Stick with it. A long-term investment is always better than doing a couple things here and there. So if you are going to volunteer, try to do something relatively long-term, whether that's, once a month for a year, that's cool. Once every month, every other month for 2 years, that's cool, right? It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but regular is key. And then remember quality over quantity. Don't do a million things. Stick to 1 or 2 things that mean a lot to you. And if you truly don't want to volunteer because you don't have the time and you'd rather spend that taking community college courses or something like that, then go for it. That's totally cool too. You don't have to volunteer necessarily, but if you are going to volunteer, make it count. Okay. So these are some resources that you can look at later. Really good websites that you can use in order to research volunteer opportunities based on your interest and based on your location, your availability, and your age. So take a look at that. And I'm going to pass this off to Nicole. We are, we're about halfway through to tonight's presentation. So you guys are all doing great. Nicole, take it away with all that good career and major exploration stuff.
All right. Hi, everyone. So next we're going to focus on career and major exploration. So we've talked a lot about kind of how to build your profile to eventually fit for that college experience, the college application process. But we want to talk about maybe your major and how to get there, or a future career that you might absolutely love. Because the goal is to find something that you really enjoy doing, because most likely we're going to have to work for a long time. So it definitely helps if you absolutely love your job. All right, so the career exploration process is definitely ongoing. It might go way beyond high school for some people. Some people might find what they love to do within high school, but there's no right or wrong path. So ideally, we want students to focus on being able to identify their strengths or interests or things that they absolutely find enjoyable. And that's the first step. So if you find something that you like or that you're good at, that's going to be that first step to help find something else that might be connected to a career. Maybe you love math, maybe you love science. So that first interest is going to help us jump into a future career. Next, by knowing more about yourself, you're going to help, better evaluate the process of finding a job or a major that might fit for you. So for example, if you absolutely love computers, going into the STEM route might be for you. If you absolutely love working with people and students and becoming a teacher. So it depends on your personality where you might end up in the long run. And so doing this prior to entering college or this college exploration process is definitely critical, because it will help students understand this path to find that career. It will help narrow their college search, so that way it can potentially offer more colleges or help eliminate ones that don't potentially offer something they need. If you're looking at a specific major and you realize many colleges don't offer it, we can help you kind of narrow it down to find which colleges might fit that potential career. But again, if a student doesn't have a specific career or major in mind, that's okay too, because many students apply undecided and they can still explore while they're in college. But our goal as college counselors on campus is to help provide students opportunities for that process while they're in high school, starting with 11th and 12th grade. All right, so here are 3 ways to explore careers, especially during 11th and then through 12th grade as well. So we have College and Career Advantage, California Colleges, which is a website, and I'll talk a little bit more detail in a moment, and then community college classes. So these 3 different ways to explore are going to add so much value to students, whether it's for their application or just personally to learn more and to explore potential careers and majors. Community colleges are a great opportunity for students to learn because, 1, they provide free classes for high school students. They can take them during the school year or during the summer, and you receive college credit. So imagine leaving high school with a college transcript already that you didn't even have to pay for. As long as you pass your classes, those courses most likely are transferable to wherever you attend college afterwards, even if it's not the community college. So it's a great way to explore something we don't offer on the high school campus, or further your interest in a subject that you might want to test out. So the next platform that we're going to be utilizing for juniors and seniors in the next year or so would be the California Colleges platform. It's californiacolleges.edu. It's a college and career platform that helps high school students explore colleges, potentially make college lists. You can search by filters of acceptance information, by GPA information, which majors they offer, and it'll generate a list for students so that way they can peruse through and see if there's schools that they've heard of, maybe they never heard of, and give them more options than they had before. It will also help students explore potential careers and majors. There are a lot of fun little activities that students can participate and take fun little quizzes to see how their personality might match with the future career or majors that maybe they've never heard of, and give them some unique insight or help solidify something that they do have an interest in. Another feature that's really useful is this platform is going to help students monitor whether they are completing their A through G courses and making sure they're on track for their academic admissions eligibility for UCs or CSUs. So this is a great way to make sure your students are completing the required courses in order to be eligible for those admissions coming up for senior year. And then during senior year, students will be able to utilize it for actually opening their applications for UCs and Cal States, as well as launching financial aid applications. So it's going to be a very useful tool in the next for the next senior year. So lastly, we have CCA courses. This is a partnership that we have between College and Career Advantage. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. College and Career Advantage, they work with the district and provide CTE courses or ROP courses that they've been known in the past. These courses are awesome because they provide that real world kind of career tech related experience for students to enter into different fields. For example, automotive, they have digital photography, health science classes, internship opportunities. So these classes are going to help students understand what it's really like to work in that field and understand potentially the degrees they might need to enter that field and get job exposure to understand what it's like, kind of a day in the life, because these courses are also taught by industry professionals. So people that are teaching these different courses have worked in these fields for many, many years, so that way they can provide the best information for our students during those courses. All right, so start active planning now. So definitely utilize the time you have now. It's junior year, so you still have, over half the year left for junior year and then all of senior year. So starting that career exploration is a perfect time right now. So we suggest that students can make a list of maybe 3 to 5 careers and then 3 to 5 majors that they might be interested in. If they can only come up with a couple, that's totally fine, but this is a starting point. So coming up with that general list will help guide the conversations between which classes they might sign up for, as well as how to guide them in their college application process when it becomes senior year. So ways you can add value to this would be interviewing somebody in a field. Maybe you have a friend or a neighbor that works in a field that you're really interested in. Talk to them, see what it's like. Do they absolutely love their job? They might provide really awesome feedback. Learn about the entry-level positions and pathways to leadership. So if you want to enter in a field, how long would it take you to get to that final position? If you want to be a surgeon, how many years will you have to work before you become the top dog in the surgery department? And then potentially explore working part-time. As a high school student, it might be challenging to work in some of these fields, medicine or STEM related, but any part-time experience is going to provide those skills that colleges look for. Communication skills, be working with others, things like that. So those are definitely useful skills, even if it's not specifically related to a future career. You might want to explore higher education options that offer those majors. So we have college visits on campus every fall. Each high school offers upwards of 20 to 40 different colleges on campus during lunch or tutorial for students to come and talk to the representative, learn about majors and things like that. So exploring those different colleges to see if they even offer a major that you're interested in. Everyone has a dream school in their mind, but do you know if they even offer a major you like? Because if you're going to attend a school, you want to make sure that they have a major or a pathway to get to that career. Another option, I mentioned community college courses, also known as dual enrollment courses. These are ways to see if that subject fits. If you're interested in computer science, but you haven't really taken a course yet, you might take a Python class at Saddleback and see if you actually like coding or computer science, to see if it's a fit for you. And then continue to meet with your college and career counselor on campus. We have individual meetings, we have one-on-one meetings with students and families to talk about all of these different things, as well as workshops that we all host during lunch and tutorial on a variety of topics that we cover, so that way we can continue to assist students during this process. All right, so how essential is it to know about your future path before building your college list? So is it crucial to know what career or major you want before you start your college list? It is not necessary, but it definitely helps. If you have a plan, even if it's not firm, of a potential major or career pathway, this might help you narrow down colleges. You want to make sure the college offers a major that you actually are interested in. So while you're utilizing things like search engine, you can type in by different majors or careers and they'll populate colleges. So it'll help you narrow down that list. It can help you understand each step to get where you want to be. So if you don't know which career you want yet, that's totally fine. But if you have an idea, you can help understand the amount of education it will take, et cetera, to become that final career. Career exploration can reduce the time that you spend in college and save money. For example, if you're not sure what you want to do and then you enter in college, it's undecided, if you switch majors, that is totally fine, but it might add a semester under your belt or more. So that does cost more money. And then not all majors are open to all incoming students. For example, a very popular major is nursing. Nursing is very popular, so that means they have less spots available for the applicants usually. Many schools have direct entry nursing programs, so if you apply and you get in, you start the program and you finish when you graduate. But if you don't get in right away, students are not allowed to transfer into that major. So every college is unique on that, but definitely you want to do some research to see if your major is available to students, whether you start the college or if you can transfer into the major. You also want to ensure that any college you attend will offer what you want to study. So every program is a little unique. For example, two schools might have a business major, but do they have different emphasis that focus on something that you're interested in? For example, business sports management. If you love sports and you love business, you can combine that love and work for a professional team. Or if you want to work in business finance. So depending on your interest, each college is going to provide a little bit different, even if the major title is similar. And then moving closer towards 1 to 3 career major options by the end of junior year is the goal. Having some sort of a major or career pathway in general would be the goal by junior year for all students. And if not, that's totally okay as well. But we want to encourage students to start doing some research, start attending workshops, so that way they can get a little bit of a more clear idea by the end of this year. All right, next we're going to go over testing requirements and updates. So what's new? So testing was previously a required component, as most of you know. If parents in here, maybe you had to take the SAT back in the day. It has changed post-COVID. So most colleges either made it optional or they got rid of the requirement for the past few years. Some systems have announced that their policies for current junior classes, and some have not announced what their requirements will be. The UCs and Cal States currently are test-free. So if your student is only considering those, they would not have to submit a test. But some private schools and out-of-state schools might be test optional or test required, which I'll go over in a moment what those really mean. So how do you know where to start? How do you know if you should take the test, if it's required, etc.? So we suggest all juniors to actually take a practice test. And we have information on our website about how to sign up for a mock exam. And it's also linked on the bottom of the slide when you do get this information. We partner with Revolution Prep and they host mock ACT and SAT exams on the weekends about once a month. And they're completely free for our students. So you can sign up, see which one you like, see which one you do better on. They'll give you the scores and they can help identify areas that you did well, potentially any weaknesses that you might want to improve on and study. And then once you get that mock exam, then you can decide which test you really want to sign up for. The other benefit is if you have started to practice, if the testing requirements change, you have been prepared. We would hate for somebody to not prepare all of junior year and then they want to apply to school that's test required and they only have a month or two to scramble. So that's why we're suggesting to look into taking the mock and practice test to start that preparation program in the next couple of months. So question, how do I know if I need to test? Since there are so many campuses across the country, universities, they all have their own individual policy. So it really depends on where you plan on applying. So this website right here, fairtest.org, has a profile for universities, and it'll give you description if the university requires it or if it's optional, so that way you have a little bit of understanding. And then to really understand what the different types of test policies mean, there are a couple of phrases you want to keep in mind. So there's test optional or test blind policies. Test optional is truly test optional. Universities allow students to submit those scores if they would like to help support their application. They will consider the SAT or ACT if they're submitted, but they also consider the rest of the application. They have the resume and activities and awards, the letters of rec if needed. They have the essays. All those components make up that sandwich that we talked about. So all of those different things will help an applicant, whether they submit it with the optional, it truly is optional. So it's never going to hurt their application, but it's only going to add value. And then test blind is where test blind admissions is just like that sounds. They do not look at it and they will not be considered part of the evaluation process. So currently the UCs have extended this policy, and so we're still waiting to see if the CSUs have extended this policy as well. Many private schools and universities in California and out of the state still have test blind policies, but we also recommend when you do start creating that college list, each individual website will have the up-to-date information as well. So you can always verify on the admissions page for universities once you start making that list. So if test scores aren't really a factor, then what are the schools looking for? So remember that sandwich we're building. They look at all of the other factors. So the bread, the meat, the cheese, etc. They have the comprehensive review. They look at all of the different factors we mentioned, which courses you've taken, which courses did you increase? Did you take multiple years of a science, multiple years of math when you didn't need to? Did you take AP honors, etc.? So there's different terms that the universities will use, whether it's comprehensive or holistic review. Those look at the whole picture. They look at multiple factors to see if they would like to admit a student. Then you have data-based applications, more like the Cal States, where they look at your GPA and your grades and which courses you've taken. So there's a variety of things that they're going to be looking at in addition to whether they take the SAT or ACT. So there's still many components to that sandwich. So they're going to have a lot to go off of. All right, I'm going to pass it on over to my colleague, Erica.
Hello, I'm Ms. Erica Espejo. I am the College and Career Counselor over at Capitol Valley and San Clemente High School. In these next few slides, we will talk about how to begin your college search. So when we're thinking about the colleges that we want to apply to, we want to think, rather than looking at rank, rather than looking at the popular rankings, Division I schools, we want to think, what do we want when we're looking at colleges? What do we want to get out of the colleges that we want to attend? This is going to be a place where you're going to be for the next 4 or 5 years after high school. You want to be at a place where it's going to feel like home to you. Of course, we want to know that these colleges will have the majors that we want, internship opportunities, co-ops. We also want to know like what kind of class sizes there are, if we want like large class sizes, we want smaller class sizes. And we also want to look at location. Do we want to stay close to home, close to family, or perhaps out of state also might be an option where we might have some family out of state. Or if some of you might have heard of the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, or WUI. A lot of students in our district actually do take advantage of WUI. WUI is essentially, you would pay something close to in-state tuition for a participating WUI school if you are a California resident. So you do get a tuition discount with participating WUI schools. And also, you also want to think about if you want to be in a large city, small city, somewhere in between. If you want to look at campus life, if they have organizations you would like to be a part of, if there is a sport you want to play division sports, making sure that university has division sport you want to play. If something like joining a fraternity or sorority is meaningful to you, that's something you want out of your college experience. So these are just various fit factors to think about as you're researching colleges, as you're thinking what you want out of a college, because again, to re-emphasize, this is going to be our home for the next 4 or 5 years. And we want to be a place where we're going to be comfortable, where we're also going to be supported, and a place that's going to fit our academic, social, and financial needs. Okay, next. All right, so when I'm looking for colleges, when we're looking for colleges, what should we be looking at? So using admissions data, college statistics change every year. We definitely saw this like during the pandemic as we've seen like a rise of applications throughout 4-year colleges go up once colleges started making the SAT, ACT test optional. So what might have been true for a sibling or a cousin maybe a couple years ago while applying for college might not be true during your application cycle, which will be next year. It's also important to understand how selective a college option is. This helps categorize and determine what other types of schools you might want to consider. Using numerical qualifiers such as GPA range, number of A through G semesters, test scores sometimes, and overall acceptance rate to determine the chances of acceptance. So if we look at the right-hand column here highlighted in goldenrod, we have REACH schools. REACH schools, they accept less than 40% of applicants. REACH schools are highly selective. Excuse me. Target schools, these are schools that accept between 40 to about 70% of applicants. Target schools should comprise the bulk of your college list. Safety schools, these accept about 80% of their applicants or more. So safety schools typically are your backup option. So when we're making our college list, we want to have a balanced college list of REACH schools, target schools, and safety schools. You don't want to fall into the mistake of applying for all these competitive schools within the REACH category, and then find out you're not accepted because a lot of these schools are highly competitive. So it's a good idea as you're going through your research, ask yourself, is this a REACH? Is this a target? Is this a safety? Data sources are very important. Google alone will not be your only tool. So we do have a resource library on our website that has an entire folder dedicated to looking up data for your research into admissions data. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Accessing resources and taking your time. So realistically, this process takes time to complete. You want to set aside time to just look at colleges, to just research what you're looking for, and to even think what you're looking for. Remember that slide we went over in terms of college fit? You also want to consider your fit factors, consider what you want out of college, consider what you want to major in, consider what you want a career in. So this process is going to take some time. And if you have by any means downtime during Thanksgiving break, you can also just take some time to self-reflect. What am I looking for in a college? Juniors should aim to have a preliminary list of 20 to 30 colleges and start beginning narrow down your list in spring. So right now, it's a good time to shop around and just look at about a couple of colleges that you might be interested in, colleges that might be calling to you. So definitely I encourage all of you who are watching, just take this time to shop around and definitely research just what's out there for you. By the end of junior year, junior students should understand how to categorize their college list and use knowledge about how their own admissions profile to create a balanced list of college options. So Futureology, we also have a college list jumpstart workshop that we'll be having within our respective high schools. So the main aim when you finalize your college list is having a good balance, again, of the the REACH, target, and safety schools. So just having a good balance of those, and each of those schools should meet your college fit factors as well. All right, so students who want to begin the application process can get a head start on certain components in the summer, but more realistically in August, early October of senior year. So definitely we encourage you to just start shopping around in the here and now. Your junior, this is a good time to just really finalize and see what's out there for you. Okay. All right, there's a website I do want to share with you all. Ms. Rengifo actually shared this earlier when we were talking about career. Now let's look at the college side of California colleges.edu. This is known as CCGI. The website is www.californiacolleges.edu. This is a website where you can explore majors, colleges, and more. This website will also show you fast facts about colleges. This can show you what the acceptance rates are, size, location, etc. This gives you a lot of fast facts about these colleges. So again, getting back to the fit factors, this can also just quickly tell you what those numbers look like. And this is a great resource, and it's a great resource for helping you build and narrow down your college list. And to also answer someone's question earlier in the chat, this is not limited to California colleges either. So in spite of the name being California colleges, you can also search for out-of-state schools here as well. I just helped a student recently look at colleges in Utah using californiacolleges.edu. So I highly recommend signing up for a free account. It's totally free to sign up. You can sign up as a junior to explore and to just browse around, shop around, to see what's out there for you. And by the way, when you sign up for a CCGI account, sign up with a Gmail, iCloud, Yahoo account. Don't sign up with a Capo USD email address because it's not a true email address. So if you got Gmail, iCloud, Yahoo, or whatever service provider you have for email, you will use that account to sign up for free at CCGI. All right, let's take a look at what's inside of CCGI once we log in. So remember when I mentioned earlier how you can find for fast facts about various schools here. So this is just simply a screenshot. If I'm looking at California schools, if I've selected California State Universities and University of California. So basically, what I base on what I select here, it'll pre-populate a list here. And the nice thing about CCGI is you can look at schools by programs and majors, level of the college if you're looking for a 2-year or a 4-year, the type of college, and what the average net price is. So there's a lot of ways you can search around here. And again, this also shows you fast facts about each of these colleges. Cal Poly SLO, very popular college among Capo students. So about 21,000 students, that's a large university, public 4-year institution. This will tell you what the average net price is, and it also will show you the acceptance rate on the far right column here. So this is also a resource where you can look at what the acceptance rates are for various colleges and universities. How your college list comes together. So awareness, knowledge of planning, timeline, and steps. So again, just to emphasize, just take your time of just seeing what's out there for you and seeing what college might spark joy in terms of your fit factors. Discovery, so building a wish list of all your fit factors. So take this time now to do some self-reflection, self-journaling on determining what is your wish list of fit factors. Am I looking for a large college, small college? Do I want to stay close to home? And how far am I willing to go for a university? Is it 2 hours? Is it like an hour of flight to the Bay Area? So really think about what are those fit factors are going to be. Evaluation, so using data to categorize your list of college options. So just going back to that CCGI example of just looking at categorizing what is reach, target, and safety. Intent, intentionally add types of schools to your list to create balance. So this is the part where we just narrow down our college list to make sure that our college list is completely balanced and that these are schools that meet our fit factors and needs. Summarize, working with a counselor, that's us at Futureology, to ensure you have all your options covered. We may even have suggestions for you based on schools that you've already added to your list. So by all means, feel free to ask us like, hey, Miss Erica, like I'm interested in schools and engineering. Can you tell me more about what's available in Southern California? And I got you. So definitely use us Futureology as a resource because we can also make suggestions that you may have not have heard about. All right, apply. Begin to prepare components for your application as early as summer 2022. So when you around summertime, a lot of students, they also start drafting their UC essays or common application essays, and just kind of, again, just having that finalized colleges will help you determine like, what do you need to focus on? Do I need to write on UC essays? Do I need to write a common application essays? And also, this will also help you just begin the process of applying once applications are open at the start of senior year. All right, what's next? All right, accessing resources and taking your time. So these are a few resources that we would like to share with you. And again, the slides will be emailed to all participants tonight, so you can access to clicking these links. So you can watch Beginner's Guide to a College Search webinar. We have a clickable link there. Build awareness and knowledge of college options using 17 qualities that can make college right for you. And you can attend our College List Jumpstart in spring of 2023. A lot of us will have tutorials, after school workshops to help you jumpstart your college list. And this will be going on spring 2023. Using reliable search engines to find information. So don't just Google what you're looking for in colleges. Don't just rely on Google alone. Our Futureology website has a resource library on curated links that we recommend that you start with. Also navigating the university's websites, looking at their admissions page, setting up a tour, setting up time to meet with an admissions rep via Zoom to get more information, looking at their admissions data, looking at their application checklist items, what you need to do to apply to this college, and just having that familiarity prior to applying, having that familiarity your junior year will also help you be prepared to apply for said colleges. And again, using the CCGI website, www.californiacolleges.edu, will also help you guide you and help you just look up fast facts in regards to building up your college list. All right, with that said, I will hand the mic over to Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you, Ms. Erica. I just want to emphasize how much it helps to begin the process now. So I'm so glad that you're all in here with us right now, or for those of you who are watching this recording a little bit later on, so glad that you're doing this research now. In my experience working, with students, juniors who participate in this orientation, who attend the workshops and the events that we have in the spring, are always better equipped in the fall than their peers who don't do this research up front. So I applaud you for being with us tonight and for beginning this process for yourself. You are setting yourself up for a much more successful senior year and hopefully a less stressful one as well. So let's wrap up with what you can look forward to in the spring. Juniors are our focus. Juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, right? We have spent a lot of time focusing on our precious seniors this fall, but juniors really get the spotlight in the spring in many regards, and we are going to try to prep you as much as we can so that you can go into summer feeling ready to apply for colleges and taking some very big steps over the summer to get yourself college application ready. So in the area of career and major exploration, we will have small group workshops on campus. Our career guidance specialists, our colleagues in the college and career centers at each high school, will be hosting career exploration workshops. We have one coming up at Aliso on November 29th. And in fact, we have our very first career exploration workshop coming up at lunch, hosted by my colleague, Mrs. McClanagan, who works with College and Career Advantage. So these workshops are coming up sooner than later, so look out for them at each of your high schools. We have annually the career success sequence where we will go over vital employability skills with all students in the district. Highly recommend that you participate in those events as well to learn about really vital skills like resume building, which you'll need for college applications, interviewing skills. We'll have a mock interview where you can interview with a professional that we partner with, and a 21st century skills on communications and digital citizenship. And we will have a webinar on choosing a college major, which is a new webinar for us coming up this year. So we're very excited about that. For college list and search, again, we're going to have a lot of small group workshops on site. We are so happy to be at the high schools now and supporting you during the day, during tutorial, right? after school, at lunch, right, before school. So look forward to some group workshops that we'll be hosting for juniors exclusively in the areas of searching for college, building your college list, college admissions 101. These are some of the things that we'll be hosting in the spring, as well as a college essay writing event in June, actually after school ends, once you're like a little less stressed out. We'll have one final workshop for you to begin brainstorming your college essays. And of course, in addition to that, one-on-one appointments are going to be available to you. They are now as well, so you're welcome to schedule a one-on-one appointment with our team on our website, and those will continue into the spring. You can find all of us at the College and Career Centers at our respective high school sites. We're so lucky to have college and career centers that are newly built at every high school, and some that are going to be opening very, very soon. But this is our availability at each high school and where we're located. Don't worry about writing this down. We'll email everybody a copy of this presentation after this evening, but we do just want you to know that we are going to be available on campus for your students, or for you, for the students who are in here tonight, okay? So we'll be here to support you. And with that, we're gonna wrap up tonight's presentation, and we're gonna stay back for Q&A. Please take advantage of the Q&A. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. We want to thank you for your time this evening. We wish you a very successful remainder of this first semester. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving break next week as well. And thank you so much for being with us. We're going to go ahead and answer some questions now. One of them actually was regarding the Western Undergraduate Exchange earlier. The Western Undergraduate Exchange, as I believe Ms. Erica mentioned, is an agreement between states Colorado and West of in the US. And it's an incentivized program to get out-of-state students to attend public universities on the west of the United States. And so California residents can apply to out-of-state public universities at a discount through the Western Undergraduate Exchange, and they will pay no more than 150% of in-state tuition, which is really cool. And in many instances, going through the Western Undergraduate Exchange can cost less than going to a UC. So depending on the college that you're looking into, it can be quite affordable to go out of state through the Western Undergraduate Exchange. So that's something that you can definitely look into if you're interested in going into or going to an out-of-state school, right? Western Washington University is part of it. ASU participates in it. A lot of different universities, Colorado and West of, participate. So it's a great opportunity for you to look into that. University of Alaska participates, University of Hawaii at Manoa participates. So it's a really great program to allow you to branch out, but also to save money. Somebody asked if Revolution Prep is available during school hours. Revolution Prep is an online test prep company. So we partner with them to provide free mock testing for our students, but they are not on campus. They are completely online, and they are a test prep company, much like Princeton Review or Kaplan would be, right? And so any additional services that you might want through Revolution Prep would be paid. They actually have a gift card promotion going on right now. And in fact, Erica, if we have a link for that or some kind of material we can share with our families right now, if you could put it in the chat, because Revolution Prep is offering, I believe, a $200 gift card for the families of our district.
They are offering $200 off select classes. I will drop the link in the chat and you can go ahead and bookmark it. Just pull up the link here. Just give me one moment.
Awesome. So hopefully that answers your question, but they're a great partner, and they do usually provide great gift cards around the holidays for our students as well. Somebody is asking, and I know somebody's typing an answer, right, about career quizzes. Career assessments definitely can be taken in person at school. And I know my colleague's responding right now, but I'm just going to also kind of verbally respond too, since we don't have any other questions in the Q&A. But the workshops that our career guidance specialist colleagues will be putting on will allow students to take assessments at school. California Colleges, that we've been mentioning all night, has a suite of assessments, personality assessments, values assessments, skills assessments, career assessments that we pay for as a district. So I don't know if you knew this, but the district has paid for this for our students. And when your students create an account, their transcript is automatically uploaded into their California Colleges account. And that's how they can monitor their graduation progress, their UC and CSU eligibility. It's all loaded in there for them, which is really cool. And in fact, if they launch their Cal State application from California colleges next year, their grades will automatically populate into their college application for the Cal State application, which will save them a ton of time. So it is something that our district has invested in for our students. And that includes a whole suite of career assessments that your students can take that can be facilitated by us or by our colleagues through CCA, our career guidance specialists. And we're all trained to help facilitate these career assessments with your students as well.
I also dropped the link for californiacolleges.edu in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and click on it and bookmark it, sign up for an account. And again, don't use your Capital USU account, use a Gmail, iCloud, etc. And you can take a suite of career quizzes on that website for free.
So you have a question about the children of veterans attending colleges. So we can certainly talk to our families on a one-on-one basis based on your specific situation, right? And whether your children would be eligible to attend college through GI Bill and through, veterans benefits and in California, right? Especially for the Cal States, the UCs, that's typically where a lot of our children of veterans go for school and have that covered. So we can certainly support you and your child in working through that, right? And I would contact the local veterans office as well, affairs office, to make sure that everything is kind of in line with those benefits for your child. But as far as looking for colleges as well, we can certainly work with you if you do have questions about that. What other questions do we have? Don't be shy. You have 4 college and career counselors at your disposal, and we have definitely about 5 minutes left to answer your questions. So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, we have a question in the webinar chat. Any comments about college athletes? Well, we do have a webinar post that we co-hosted with NCAA where we talked about applying as a college athlete. I could link it to you in the chat so you can bookmark that. Any other comments?
Yeah, so depending on your child and if they're interested in competing, right, it's very important that they're expressing their interest to compete with their coaches first and foremost. Depending on the sport that you're interested in, it might look a little bit different, right? But if you are an athlete who is hoping to obtain a scholarship, an athletic scholarship, then we're talking about Division I and II athletics in college, right? That would require you to talk to your coach to first let them know that you're interested, and to at least create an NCAA profile, which is a free account through the NCAA, and that will allow you to kind of get started with a preliminary free account. And when you're ready, you can actually register with the NCAA to have an official account. That account will kind of sit in space until you get pinged by a coach if they're interested in you to begin the review process. But some students opt to pay for their paid account just to have it ready to go if they're seriously looking into being recruited and already seem to feel that there's an interest in them as athletes. You want to make sure that you have highlight reels of your performances at games so that you can send them to coaches. You're welcome to reach out to coaches with your stats and your information at any time. Typically, athletic coaches at the college level cannot, not typically, this is a rule, they can't reach out to athletes until after 10th grade. So that's when the serious kind of recruitment begins for very competitive athletes, right? But in the meantime, you can be proactive in your search for an athletic scholarship by keeping track of your stats, by having highlight reels to send to coaches, and by reaching out actively to these coaches. And you can email them. You can find their information on the college website and begin that process. We have an entire folder dedicated to athletic recruiting in our resource library on our website. So I do encourage you to look at that. We have template emails that you can send to coaches. We have recommendations on what your timeline should be. So that is definitely some stuff to consider if you are a student athlete. And if you have more questions, you're welcome to reach out to us individually as well. Is there a webinar on early decision, early action? Oh, good question. No, there's not a webinar on early decision, early action. Early decision and early action are definitely options for students. And for those of you in here who don't know the difference between the two, early decision is a binding decision to apply to a school early. And you can only apply to one school early decision. Early decision is for your dream school, your top school, your ride or die going no matter what school. And what happens is if you apply to a school early decision and you are admitted, you have to rescind all of your other applications and you have to essentially promise to go to that school. It's a very big decision to make, and it's a scary one financially, in my opinion, as a counselor, because when you apply early decision, you're bound to say yes to them. And it's a big deal to go back on your word and not go to a school early decision. In fact, many private schools talk to each other and you could be blacklisted, and they could reach out to other universities that you've applied to possibly and inform them that you went back on your word and did not accept their early decision offer. And so it can look really bad and negatively impact you if you apply early decision and actually don't take the offer. Financially, it's a bad idea because once they accept you and you're bound to them, you have to pay for it no matter what it costs, right? And early decision schools are typically private schools with very high tuition amounts and rates. So depending on what your financial situation is, it might not be the best idea to bind yourself to a school without knowing what they're going to offer you financially as far as aid goes and scholarships. That is compared to early action, which is non-binding. Early action simply means apply early, find out early. And there is no requirement to accept the offer if you are accepted early action. So that's perfectly acceptable for students to do. You find out before New Year's typically, which is really cool. Whereas you'd have to wait until about March to find out about decisions coming in from colleges. And sometimes the acceptance rate of early action is higher, but that's also because the pool of applicants is typically very competitive in the early action pool. So don't be seduced by that statistic if you see it online, like, oh, they're going to accept me, there is a higher chance that I'll get in if I do early action. That's the case because you're competing against a very competitive pool, and there's a lot of really good applicants in the early action pool. And my colleagues, if any of you want to take on any of these, feel free to. I just talk a lot and I'll just jump right in. So don't mind me.
I can address. There's a question in the comments. Let's see. So for extracurricular activities, do you recommend doing things that have to do with our desired career, or is it okay that they may not relate? For example, volunteering at an animal shelter, but you want to become a nurse. So ideally, you do things that relate to your career, but that's not always the case because, for example, if you want to be a nurse, can you volunteer in the hospital and be working with nurses? Not all the time. They don't have many spots for 16-year-olds to work in a surgical unit. So it's okay to do things that aren't necessarily aligned with your career interests 100%. They want to see things you're passionate about, and they want to see that you commit and you learn skills. So you learn how to work with others, communication skills, leadership skills. So while it might not relate, it's still important, which is the benefit. If it does relate, bonus, but it's not required. And I've read applications for UCs, and I've seen students that have had a wide range of activities that aren't necessarily related to your major, and they're great candidates. So if you're passionate about it, that's probably the most important. So hopefully that answers your question.
I agree 100%, right? Go with what if you want to be a nurse and you also love animals, go for it. Mm-hmm. Volunteer at an animal shelter. And it's patient care, right? Yeah. You're caring for animals. It's a living thing, and it's showing that you have this desire to help other living beings. So it's still connected. But most importantly, do it if it sounds interesting to you. That's cool, right?
Yeah, even if it's sports or doing something artsy after school, like it also shows like a sense of well-roundedness, that you have interests outside of academics, outside of careers.
I agree. Absolutely. Yes. Question about scholarships and when and where to start. Scholarships really start in earnest senior year. You'll have access to a lot of really great scholarships opening up exclusively for seniors. If you want to start now, you can create an account on fastweb.com. That is a great place to start. It's a scholarship search platform that will allow you to create a free account and search for scholarships based on your specific parameters. And you can search for scholarships that are available for juniors. So it's a great way to actually practice scholarship applications now. If you have some free time, go ahead and create an account and see if you can apply to 1 or 2 scholarships this year as a start. And keep in mind that scholarship searching will really hit like full throttle for come winter of senior year. We'll be working a lot with seniors beginning in December, moving forward with scholarships and financial aid, for example. So that's a very much a senior year thing, but you can absolutely start now with fastweb.com, with scholarships.com, with College Board, Big Future. They have a scholarship search engine as well, but would be kind of cool to get a couple scholarship applications under your belt just for practice.
In the chat, I dropped a link for CAPEX's scholarships for high school juniors. So you're more than welcome to click on the link, bookmark, and these are scholarships exclusively for high school juniors. And you can also narrow it down based on ethnicity, gender, and you can also look via area code for local scholarships. Zip code.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Awesome. Thank you. So we are coming to the end of tonight's webinar. And we are happy to answer one last question if anybody wants to throw in like one last, like, hey, wait a minute. Otherwise, we will wrap up tonight's webinar. So I'll give you just a couple seconds if somebody has one last like burning question they have. But otherwise, if you don't have any questions, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving break once again. And thank you for joining us. We look forward to providing you with a whole new set of webinars, Webinar Wednesdays come spring semester. But otherwise, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah, we hope to see you all soon at our college and career centers.